Alrighty, hopefully this is recording. Hey everybody, James Cards FC here. You might know me from either Instagram or the Sunday League Investors channel or from an interview I did with Andre at Soccer Study. But I saw a tweet today that maybe want to make a little piece of content for you guys. And I'm calling it the dangers of prospecting. History is not on your side. So we'll go through a few different points here about prospecting, which is currently extremely popular in the hobby right now. So I just wanted to go through a few slides that I was inspired to make today. So appreciate you guys checking it out, and we'll go ahead and get started. So first things first, prospecting. Let's go ahead and define it. So the definition, I loosely made this, was buying cards of a young player in hopes that they will become the next superstar, causing their prices to increase exponentially. This term initially comes from baseball, where it was really popular in the early mid 1990s to late 1990s to buy cards of a player that was either in the minor leagues or just had a few games in the majors, and you went out and you bought hundreds to thousands of their cards. Since this was junk wax era, you could only buy a couple sets, there were no parallels. You just went out and bought hundreds to thousands of these players in hopes that one day that pile of 1,000 cards would turn into a pile of 10, 20, $30,000. So you would buy a baseball player in either their minor league career or just as they were starting out in the majors in hopes that they would become an all-star and then a Hall of Famer. So this led to a massive bubble in the 90s due to the print runs and the players' failures to live up to unreasonable expectations. So now there's a lot of people out there sitting on thousands of Greg Jeffries and Kevin Moss cards. And so if you don't know baseball, those were prospect names at the time, but now those are just not worth anything at all. They're not worth the paper they're printed on, and the paper they're printed on isn't worth anything either. So, just an example of what happened with prospecting in the 90s, and it's really become honestly even more popular today than it was then with how expensive cards have gotten. Back then, you were lucky if a card went to $100. Now we're talking about people spending thousands to try and make hundreds of thousands. So, just different at scale, but this is the basic background from prospecting. So positives of prospecting. I'm not gonna lie, there are some positives to it. The first one would be a lower entry point compared to established superstars. This is not always the case, especially today, as prospect cards have gotten extremely expensive. But if you look a couple years ago, a guy like Holland, you could get his stickers for less than $10. Even after he'd burst onto the scene at Salzburg, they were $10, $20. Just picking a random player off the top of my head right now, Hlozek in the Czech Republic is a 19-year-old, one of the best players in that league right now. His stickers are less than $10 each. So guys like that you could buy really cheap. Hlozek becomes the greatest player of all time, then you're going to make yourself thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's the ultimate goal and a positive. But as we'll go over later, that's just frankly not going to happen. So there's that potential for exponential investment growth that I just talked about. If you get in very, very early, like the example I gave for Hlozek, it's not like you're investing in Holland right now where you have to pay thousands of dollars to get into his best stuff, or even to get into his rookie stickers. It's a few hundred to $1,000 depending on condition. The goal here is to get in very, very early before even the general hobby knows who these guys are. So another positive, you get to watch the player's career unfold in real time. You get to watch them grow and watch your investment grow or decrease as the games go on, which is a cool aspect that you don't get investing in vintage or pre-modern or even players that are past their prime like Messi and Ronaldo. So it's cool to have that opportunity to watch that happen. And then the last one I came up with is the hype cycle. We see this all the time in the hobby right now. Prospects stay in hobby slash real life headlines until they're either fully matured or fail. Got a little cut off there, but it says fully matured or fail. So, yeah, in the current way the market works, we pretty much only hear about prospects when they're doing extremely well. Even if they're not doing well, they stay in the hype cycle until they've either completely fallen off the map, gotten injured, or have matured to a level where we understand what they are. A good example of this is going to be Ansu Fati. Was probably the most popular prospect when the hobby market or the soccer hobby market exploded. Got injured, but stayed in the news cycle even because he was injured. Comes back, his prices get a little bump again, gets injured again, and he's still pretty much in the forefront of everybody's mind in terms of hobby prospecting. No matter how much he gets injured, he's probably always going to be there. Even if he comes back for Barcelona, scores a goal, gets injured again, I guarantee you we will still be talking about Fati for the next few years. So, negatives of prospecting. The investment can easily go to zero. I'm going to have some examples on this, and it's going to be the basis for why I was making this video in general. This is an obvious one. Your investment can very easily go to zero, depending on which prospect you pick. There's a very, very likely chance that either they get injured, never play again, they end up going to a league nobody cares about, they become a very good, not great player, they become a borderline world-class player, they become a world-class player, and they still don't get hobby love. We see this all the time. Benzema, his true rookie, the WCCF card from Japan, you can still buy it for $20 to $30. And he's probably the best player in the world right now, and nobody in the hobby seems to care. So, it's really boom or bust. Either your player has to end up, over the course of his career, becoming the first or second best player in the world for a long period of time, or the hobby is probably not going to care, at least in its current state. So, not only can your investment go to zero, your opportunity cost is lost on investing in legends like Messi and Ronaldo. Their prices have somewhat plateaued / are starting to decrease a little bit, but rather than investing in their cards, you're taking that money and you're investing it in a gamble on a prospect, when over time we would probably see that the Messi and Ronaldo investments would increase at a much safer and more predictable rate. That could be a video all on its own, but you are losing the opportunity cost of investing in legends and just taking that money and gambling it. So similar to the stock market would be that you are buying penny stocks instead of buying established stocks, even though you have the funds to buy the established stocks. So from that perspective, portfolio building perspective, it's a weird gamble people take, but I understand that this is not necessarily investing as much as people are using it to have fun and make money and that sort of thing. So anyways, moving forward, abundance of player plus set options. This is something that we see in Ultramodern. It's really picked up in the past year, especially. Even if you pick the correct player, you can fail. Not only the correct player, but you have to predict the correct set. So who's to say that Topps Merlin Chrome doesn't end up being the go-to set in the next 5 years? Is it going to be Stadium Glove? Is it going to be Sapphire? Is it going to be Bundesliga? I mean, a guy like Mokoko's in, 30, 40, 50 sets? What's going to be his best card? We have no idea. Not to mention, Mokoko could end up never being anything more than a second or third rate German player. So it's just, the odds are heavily, heavily stacked against you. Okay, now we're going to get into why I wanted to make this video. So this is a list of the top 10 young players in 2021. This list is already a little dated, and it only came out in April of 21, and this was published by ESPN. So I'll go down the list. Number 10 is Saka, 9 is Vinny Jr., 8 is Felix, 7 is Pedri, 6 is Jude Bellingham, 5 is De Ligt, who you could ignore because he's a defender. Nice spell check there from PowerPoint to mess up his name. Ansu Fati's number 4, Foden is 3, Sancho is 2, Haaland is 1. So you can see already in a year's time, this list seems outdated in terms of the positions of these players. So this is what made me want to make this video. I saw a tweet that contained this, a link to this article. Top 10 young players in 2009. So 13 years ago, about a decade ago. This was published by a Spanish magazine, and this was, at the time, the top 10 young players in the world. I have labeled them in different colors. Red meaning you completely whiffed if you invested in these players and you're in huge trouble. Orange being, you probably say that's a good result, but we'll actually see that it's not. And green, if there was one, would be you hit. And in 2009, no matter which of these top 10 players you invested in, you whiffed. So we can go through the list here. Basically, the only two that I would say you kind of hit on were Gareth Bale and Sergio Aguero, but as we'll see, they really aren't hits in terms of hobby relevancy. So moving forward here, keep those in mind. So the two hits you have are Bale and Aguero. So I went on eBay through Terapeak and looked at sales for the entire last year, and this was the most expensive Bale card on the top that was sold and the most expensive Aguero card on the bottom that was sold. $3,000 for Bale and $1,400 for Aguero. So I just went straight across and paired them up based on position to the guys in the previous list. So Bale number 7 matches with Pedri number 7. Aguero number 1 matches with Haaland number 1. So we'll start with Bale. So Bale's most expensive card sold in the past year was $3,000 on eBay. Pedri has had 18 cards sell for more than $3,000 on eBay alone. That's not including the Pedris that go to Golden, PWCC, and all these other places where higher end Pedris would end up. So 18 cards for Pedri have already sold for more than Bale's most expensive card, and Bale we considered a hit in this case. It's very unlikely that Pedri will end up being as good as Bale, as crazy as that sounds, but the odds just aren't in his favor. So even if he does end up as Bale, it's not a good outcome, as you can see by the prices here. Aguero gets even worse. So Aguero, number 1 prospect at the time, ends up being a world-class player for many, many years in the Prem. Hobby does not care. Highest selling Aguero card in the past year on eBay, $1,400 for a BGS 10 Kaboom. Haaland in that same time period has had over 1,000 cards sell for more on eBay alone. Combine that between PWCC and Golden, it's probably pushing closer to 2,000. This is basically telling you if Haaland is Aguero level, thousands of people are going to be in a big, big heap of trouble in the long run, just based on that Aguero price. It really is shocking to think about that in terms of, I know we all think of Haaland as this next great thing, but if he's Aguero level, which is really, really tough to do, to be as world-class as Aguero was in the best league in the world for as many years as he was, Haaland would have to eclipse that in this example to overtake that Aguero price, and it's just a high bar to climb, and his cards are already insanely expensive in comparison. So now I want to talk about 2 misses. These are number 2 and 3 on the list, matching up numbers 2 and 3 on both lists. So Alexis Sanchez was number 2 on the list. We'll match him up with Jadon Sancho. Highest selling Alexis card on eBay in the past year, $400. Sancho has had over 500 cards sell for more than that on eBay alone. So if Jadon Sancho is not as good as Alexis Sanchez, big trouble. Josie Altidore was actually number 3 at the time, which seems insane, but it was true. And we're probably going to say similar things about some of the guys on this list. Wow, what were they doing at number 3, number 4? Anyways, Foden, at the same time as this Altidore card, highest selling Altidore card was $300 or so. Foden has had over 500 cards sell for more than that on eBay alone. And I wouldn't say that it's going to be hard for Foden to top Altidore in his career, but we really just never know. So just a couple more examples there of misses. And then I would consider these complete misses. Altidore is a miss, but he still has some relevancy, if you want to call it that, just because he was U.S. men's national team. These are complete misses where the player's completely fallen off the map and absolutely nobody in the hobby cares. Here's Bentner, highest selling card on eBay for him in the past year, $125. He matches up with Bukayo Saka at number 10. Saka has had over 800 cards sell for more than that on eBay alone. Same story as what I've said previously. And here's Banega, highest selling Banega card on eBay in the past year, $250. He matches up with Vinny Jr. at number 9. And Vinny Jr. has had over 400 cards sell for more than that on eBay alone. Same story as before. If either of these players don't reach that level or are equal to that level, there's going to be a lot of people hurting really, really bad because of how much money was spent on these guys, assuming that they were going to be super, super world-class for 10 years, and they end up just being okay. So, yeah, complete misses there. And then this last slide here, I just wanted to pull up all 16 Golden Boy winners since Messi. And we'll go through this list again with the coloring. Red being you would have completely missed. Orange being, you kind of missed, but you might be okay, maybe. And green being, you did it. You hit. As you can see, again, no green. Fabregas, you would have gotten killed. Aguero, we showed before, you probably would have gotten killed, but Aguero is still a super world-class player and one of the greats of his generation. So, orange there. Anderson, you got killed. Pato, killed. Balotelli, killed. Mario, killed. Isco, killed. Pogba, I left it as orange, but it's probably more red, just because Pogba has some hobby relevancy, but not really. Sterling, you would have gotten killed. Martial, for the prices, you would have gotten killed, of course. And Renato Sanchez, you would have gotten killed. And that leads us into the guys that we just don't know about yet. Mbappe, maybe he fixes things and gets us our first green since Messi. Um, but the rest of these guys, and even Mbappe, we just have no idea, and that's the whole point with this thing is we just have no idea. These 16 players that are on the list here, and we'll call it 10, and we'll skip off the most recent ones. This was the best young player in the world at the time. Like this was it. This was the Erling Haaland, the Pedri, the Mbappe of the time. Were these guys right here? And you would have gotten killed investing in pretty much every single one of them, if not all of them, especially if the prices were at where they're at now. So, something to keep in mind here is that for how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 consecutive years. If you invested in the best player possible from that class, you would have gotten killed. So, I, I don't know how I can make it more clear than this. You are really, really playing with fire here, investing in prospects, even if you go for the best of the best. So, just keep it quick. In conclusion, let me go ahead and move myself down here so you can read that last part. There. Much better. In conclusion, you're playing with fire, like I said before. If your objective is to buy these prospects and hold for their entire career, flipping these prospects based on hot streaks is a formula that is working currently, but someone is inevitably always left holding the bag. And this is something that should be of concern to you because the more people that are left holding the bag, the more people leave the prospecting game. The soccer hobby is so new that we really haven't seen prospects fail, so current prices and expectations are not seen as ridiculous as they actually are. And that is the crux of the issue here, is that while currently these buying these young players and flipping them and seeing them go up 10x after a few games and selling them to somebody else is this is a model people are using to make a lot of money, and it's a sound model right now. But the problem is when those people that bought Dusan Vlahovic for 2.5k in a PSA 10 sticker are now holding that same sticker, and it's down to $600-700 and probably going down again as more get graded. Those people are not coming back to the hobby anytime soon. Why would they continue to make such terrible investments? It wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, and there's going to be countless cases like that where people are buying prospects for way too much money, losing a lot of money just because they don't understand what the hit rate is going to be on these guys, and people are going to lose a lot of money this way. So just keep these things in mind, and I'm not immune to it. I like prospecting too. Hell, I spend way too much money on Christian Pulisic because I'm an American and I'm a dumb American that has hope that he'll be not only our best player of all time, but a world class player, and hopefully can lead us to deep in the World Cup in the next year, this coming year, and then in 2026 as well. So yeah, that's probably dumb money in the long run, but it's not. I'm not immune to making these mistakes as well. I just need to think. We all need to take a step back and realize that the reality is almost all of these guys are going to be terrible, terrible investments, and that's just something I think it's a hobby we need to come to terms with. So I appreciate everybody coming in and checking out this video. Yeah, subscribe for more. When I get some more motivation or find something that piques my interest, I'll probably put out another video. And if you want to see me talk about anything, get my perspective on the market, feel free to leave a comment. And if this was a enjoyable video for you, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see where we go from here. But I thank you guys for listening on this. Be careful out there, but remember, this is a hobby at the end of the day. So have some fun, but be very careful. Thank you.